As many of you know, the affidavit for Vic Mignogna's fee hearing was released yesterday. I'm pretty sure Nick Rekieta read to about page 80 or 81 of the affidavit on his live stream last night. I won't be talking about anything in the hearing that was already read by Nick. Instead, I want to focus on pages 87 to 91 going forward. Some of the things that Lemoyne tries to heavily infer in those pages just seem absolutely bizarre to me. If you'd rather wait to listen to this part on Nick Rekieta's stream tonight, that's no big deal. I don't blame you. Consider checking out some of our other content in the meantime. But to everybody else, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and start reading on page 87 of the documents. The court. Okay. Are you going to be asking me to sanction him based upon what's in the GoFundMe account? Lemoyne. No, Judge. Then why are we talking about it still? Because Mr. Rekieta is an arm of Mr. Mignogna and the Beard law firm and has done things. The court. Okay? And that's where I'm trying to go. What does that matter if he's an arm of them? Well, then the deterrent aspect of this lawsuit is lost into one, he has never had to pay any attorney fees, so they get to, well, neither has your client. Judge, that's not true. Your client has paid you $282,000? No, Judge, but they have paid us money. Okay. Unlike Mr. Mignogna, they had money come out of their savings. The witness, who is Vic Mignogna. Well, Mr. Lemoyne, I paid over $10,000. Stop. I'm sorry, sir. I apologize. That's okay. Okay, are you trying to get somebody else to pay these sanctions? Lemoyne responds, no. Chupp says, then ask what money he has. That's what's important. Lemoyne says, Judge, I'm going to get there. The court, okay, keep going. Then Martinez interrupts, Your Honor, if I may, Mr. Lemoyne testified earlier that he has no evidence of any agency between Mr. Mignogna and Mr. Rekieta. Chupp responds, did you testify to that? Tina, read that back. Lemoyne says, yes, Judge, I literally don't get to sit in on their conversations. So then Chupp responds, okay, so you have no evidence? Lemoyne responds, I couldn't possibly have evidence. Who would want evidence, you know? But so sorry. He says, I couldn't possibly have evidence. That's what I'm trying to develop in this record. Martinez then says, if I may, Your Honor, today is not the time for him to try and do that. Chupp responds, okay, well, ask your next question. To which Lemoyne asks Vic Mignogna, Mr. Mignogna, you helped Mr. Beard and Mr. Rekieta get to talk on a panel at Anime Matsuri, didn't you? And Vic Mignogna says, no, sir. You had nothing to do with it? Nothing to do with it whatsoever. The lower picture in Defendant's Exhibit 10, that's a picture of you and Mr. Rekieta a few months ago in Hawaii. That was at a convention that I was invited to, correct. Mr. Rekieta flew out there to meet with you? Mr. Rekieta brought his family out on a vacation, and I had nothing to do with that. It was just happenstance y'all both ended up in Hawaii. He starts inferring that they're working together. It just seems like a really weird picture to try to paint. So Vic Mignogna then responds, you'll have to ask Mr. Rekieta that. I don't know. Mr. Mignogna, isn't it true? Okay, this is where it gets really weird because he just starts basically making these claims and asking Vic Mignogna if they're true or not. And obviously he's gonna say no. I don't know what he was trying to do here, what answer other than no he thought he was gonna get, but this is where it gets really weird. Mr. Mignogna, isn't it true that you authorized Nick Rekieta to set up the GoFundMe account? No, sir. Isn't it true that the plan between you and Mr. Rekieta was that you would file a lawsuit funded with the GoFundMe account and Mr. Rekieta would spend night after night bashing the defendants and witnesses? Isn't that what the plan was? Absolutely not. See, and I just don't understand what other answer he thought he was going to get there. Mr. Mignogna, isn't it true that the purpose behind the lawsuit was to try and shut up all the people who were accusing you of misdeeds online? To which Vic responds, absolutely not. Do you know? And then, do you know what a Discord server is? I've heard of it. You've never used a Discord server? Not that I'm aware of. You have never communicated with Mr. Rekieta on a Discord server. Continues, pull up defendants exhibit 13, blow up the first 3, or go down to the second or third Rekieta line. Question by Mr. Lemoyne. What time, when did you first start talking to Nick Rekieta? Mr. Rekieta, I'm going to answer your question. Mr. Rekieta contacted me by email unsolicited. I didn't know him. I never heard of him. And he contacted me earlier on this situation. I can't remember the exact date, but I didn't know who he was, and I didn't even reply to his email. He said that he was an attorney. Lemoyne then interrupts. I'm trying not to object as non-responsive. Mr. Lemoyne, my question is, when did you start talking to the man? And then Vic responds, after somebody told me that there was an attorney online who was being very supportive of my case, I looked back at the email and put it together that it was the same gentleman. And I emailed him and thanked him for his support. And it goes on, but I was really flabbergasted by the accusations that Lemoyne just threw out there, because they honestly just seem like not very well thought out, like tinfoil hat theories. But that's where we're gonna end it. Tell us what you have to say about Lemoyne's tinfoil hat questions, and we'll see you in the next video.